Welcome in, everybody. Today we've got a Seapora 60-gallon cube. That's right. And we're going to be doing it up freshwater, so we can show you what you can do with a cube in freshwater. This is an aqua clear 70-gallon hang on the back waterfall filter, and for a 60-gallon cube it might be considered overkill, but I like to know that I have ample flow going throughout the whole thing. Being a cube and not being long and horizontal, this will give just enough flow to get the whole tank circulating. This is a Wi-Fi enabled A7 light, typically used for reefs with the different color spectrums and things you can choose, but it's got the perfect shape to where the cone will spread out over the cube and light every inch of that bad boy. Now, we're into my favorite part, which is scaping. And as I mentioned, a cube gets the privilege of being very centerpiece focused. And here I have this lovely sword we've had clearly for a very long time. Absolutely beautiful, and we will double check on the actual specific species, but I want to say it is a big bear, and as you can see, it's sticking blooms out, so this is going to go right smack dab in the middle down here, and it's going in our crushed shell substrate that we've got, and you might be wondering, why crushed shells? To that, I say, why not? It's a great high contrast substrate with the lights. It'll reflect white really well and give a really bright look to your aquarium. And on top of that, it'll provide a nice bit of calcium and other stuff to add into the water. It provides some beneficial nutrients to the plants. And that being said, it is a substrate that you're not going to want to put, say, cory cast or something like that in, because it does have these sharp little edges and they tend to cut themselves. So that's not something that we want to do or want for them. So it's definitely not a bottom feeder thing. You can do shrimp, that won't be a problem, and they'll appreciate the extra calcium. But having that centerpiece placed, then we get to start having fun around it. These little pieces of spiderwood come in. And I admittedly played around in here yesterday a little bit, getting an idea of what I would do. But I also have the privilege of having these from a previous setup and getting to recycle them, because I love to use recycled stuff instead of just throwing it out. And in art and illustration, there's kind of a concept that you tend to follow of composition, keeping everything in this spiral so your eyes never stop and sit in one place for too long. We get to do fun stuff like that with scaping, and with wood, you can use those turns, these contours, and all these fun various shapes to your advantage, which we will do here. So you might have noticed this spider wood comes over the top of the rim just a little bit here. This is going to be lidless. Not everybody likes lidless because some fish are known to just jump on out and give up. So if this was an issue for you, you could sand this down until the lid fit flush. You could even, if you've got a saw and you wanted to kind of I wouldn't recommend an electrical circular saw. You might get some splinters flying. But if you want to, grind or saw this down into a nub, that way it's not over, that's not a problem. Now this is our cube after a full day. You can see it's crystal clear. We've got it up to temp. The waterfall's doing great. I've checked and there's a good amount of circulation, so I don't think there's any need for extra filtration. And now we've got our fish floating to get to temp. And I know what you're thinking, one day, that's quick. Probably shouldn't have the fish yet, but let me explain. This substrate is reused from a previous setup, and so it was still wet, had a lot of bacteria still growing in it, and in that waterfall, I plucked some of the media from a previous FX6 that was still wet, and so it's got a lot of live bacteria pumping through, so these guys are going to be ready to go. Now in this bag here, I have 8 blue wag platies, which are a nice, beautiful live bear community tank fish. And we got them from right here. We've got a whole lot of them. They look great. And they're gonna go perfectly in there because they love to go up and down. They're not as concerned with going horizontal like a lot of your schooling fish are, like your rainbows and some of the stuff like that. So this is my first pick, and that blue is going to really pop under that white light. Now we've got fish number 2 that's going in the cube. This is the Ember Tetra, a great little community schooler, 0.8 inches, so they won't even get a full inch. This is going to be about max size for them. And I know I mentioned that the schooling tetras like to have a lot of horizontal space to go back and forth, but having the cube, 60 gallons, being as small as they are, there will be plenty of space for them to group together and get their little fish zoomies, as I like to call it. So this is option 2, and where we'll stop for the stocking for today. What is up, everybody? It has been a week. The tank is going. It's crystal clear. Everybody in here is doing really well, super healthy, loving life. The blue wag platies have even gone so far as to breed since being in here, and probably won't get to show it off in here today, but I have seen a few little babies down there. I spiced it up with a bristlenose pleco in here somewhere, which we'll dig up and find to showcase here shortly. We've got our last 2 showcase species in here floating, which we'll get more to later. We're getting temp acclimated, and speaking of the temp, it's been great. Everybody stayed exactly where we wanted it. Water flow's been great. We're crystal clear, and loving life, loving the large plant showing up great in here. Perfect amount of light for it. It's not getting too much, so it's getting algae growth. It's not getting too little, so it's wilting away. So everything's really going just how we wanted it to in here. The first of our 2 showcase fish we have here is going to be a pair of German blue rams that we've plucked. We got a male and a female for the cube. These are an absolutely beautiful South American cichlid. You can see they've got pops of yellow, red, light blues, and they're a really great peaceful community fish that can go in with your tropical schooling fish, your live bearers, all the stuff like that, and they won't be aggressive. They'll just be a great addition. Fish number 2 is the red lipstick goby. That's right, we've got a freshwater goby. I plucked a little trio to put in the cube. These guys are really neat. You don't see a lot of freshwater gobies that are kind of in that classic goby shape. You'll get the gudgeons that have a bit more classic fish look, but these guys have a really neat flush red look to them on the tail. The males get it up on those lips, hence the lipstick name. They're fun to watch wall clingers. They've got interesting social behavior in big groups, and they come from a natural, crystal clear flowing river. Here it is, the 60-gallon cube, all finished up, crystal clear water, happy inhabitants. We couldn't be more excited about it. We hope you're excited about it, and we hope you're liking what you're seeing. And if you are, go ahead and click like and subscribe, and drop us a comment below. Let us know what you want to see next. We can do another cube, we can do a big 180, fresh, salt, nano, peninsula, you name it. We've got all kinds of stuff we can do here, and we hope to see you on the next one.